Amid the sound of bombs and the fear of impending doom, many Ukrainian soldiers chose to write diaries instead of complaining. They lived like Stoics in the midst of war. "If today is my last day, I am ready." He wrote that line in a hurried handwriting, amidst the rumble of artillery fire on the front lines. The diary of a Ukrainian soldier is not a place for lamentation, but a testament to a soul that has learned to face the inevitable, death. In each sweat-soaked and dusty page there is no fear. Only acceptance. Acceptance that human life is finite. That death is not an enemy but an inevitable part of the cycle. As the Stoics once said, "Do not fear death. Fear not having truly lived." And he, in the midst of war, in the midst of things that seem meaningless, finds the greatest meaning, to live every moment to the fullest. No one knows when the last moment will come. But those who understand that do not tremble. They live more deeply. They love more deeply. They choose action, not out of fear but out of awareness. Facing death is not weakness. It is the highest expression of inner strength. Like that soldier, knowing the end could come at any moment, he chose to write. Not to mourn, but to live. "I did not choose war. But I choose how I face it." The soldier did not write to complain. He did not ask, "Why me?" He only wrote, "I am alive. Today I can still do the right thing." In the chaos of bombs and bullets he did not blame fate. He did not curse the gray sky or the orders from above. He just silently nodded to reality, however harsh, however cruel, and moved on. That is the spirit of a more fatty loving fate. It is not resignation. It is an active choice, accepting what we cannot control and turning it into part of our inner strength. The Stoics taught that it is not our circumstances that determine our fate, but our reactions to them. The soldier could not stop the war. But he could keep his composure amid the destruction. He could live each day as if it were a mission. "I cannot save the world, but I can hold my position today." The young soldier wrote that sentence in a tattered notebook, amidst the cold wind and the distant explosions. Not to show courage, but to remind himself, responsibility lies not in results but in actions. War is not a place for beautiful words. It is a place of naked truth, where you have a choice, to collapse in lamentation or to stand up and act. He chose the latter. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is our duty to do right no matter what the world may be like." No one can guarantee anything. There are no promises for tomorrow. But you can still do right even when no one is watching. The soldier did not fight for praise. He fought because it was the right thing to do in his power. When we give up demanding that the world be fair and turn to asking, "What can I do today?" we are truly powerful. I write not to record the war. I write so as not to lose myself in the war. While surrounded by smoke and fire and the sound of destruction, the soldier opened a small notebook, the last piece of paper that kept the peace in his soul. Every night, after surviving another day, he wrote, "What have I done today? Have I lived a good life?" No one told him to do that. But he knew that if he did not keep his inner self clear, he would be swept away by the chaos outside. Epictetus once said, "Every day ask yourself, have I lived a good life?" That soldier lived that. No need for complicated philosophy, just a pen, a few lines, and the courage to face himself. In his diary he did not only write about bombs and bullets, but also about fear, about gratitude, about what made him still have hope. That was not an act of weakness. It is inner discipline. When the world outside falls apart, the strongest person is the one who maintains order within. Writing, not to record, but to be alert, to reflect, to remind oneself, we are still human. I can't control the battlefield, but I can control myself. That's what the soldier reminded himself every time he walked through a fierce day. As bullets whizzed by and the ground shook, he didn't allow himself to panic. He didn't allow himself to be overwhelmed by anger or fear. Because he understood, if the mind is disturbed, the body will not be able to hold on. And if the spirit collapses, he will have lost without even needing a bullet. Stoicism doesn't promise a peaceful life. It teaches how to keep the mind trained, like a sword, sharp and steady, in the midst of storms. The soldier didn't wait for favorable circumstances to begin living rightly. He chose discipline in every thought, every action, every reaction. Not because someone was watching, but because it was the only way to keep himself intact. Discipline is not just an external action. It's about internal control, not letting emotions guide you, not letting fear take over your mind. In an age where everyone reacts impulsively, the person who can maintain inner stability is the freest person. In the midst of chaos, the weak find excuses. The strong find discipline. Who do you belong to? I'm not here for myself. I am here for those behind me who do not carry guns. The soldier carried not pride but memories, of his mother waiting for news every day, of the children in the village he had visited, of a country on the brink of survival. With each step through the trenches he did not think of glory. He thought of duty. Of those who had no choice but to hope for men like him. Seneca once wrote, "We are born for the sake of others." And the soldier understood that deeply. He was not fighting for his own survival, but for something greater than himself, the community, the people, the homeland. The greater self does not lie in the risk of losing one's life, but in the willingness to put the interests of the majority above one's own comfort. And that is something no one can force. It can only be chosen with heart and conviction. When you live for something bigger than yourself, you will find a strength that fear cannot touch. Not everyone needs to go to war to show that. But everyone can ask, today am I living just for myself, or for something bigger? I may fall but I will never kneel. He wrote that in his diary, when only a few of his comrades remained, and the future was as uncertain as the sky filled with gunfire. No one knew if tomorrow would come. But in his eyes something burned, not blind hope, but an indomitable spirit. Stoicism does not promise that everything will be okay. It teaches, when everything falls apart, dignity remains. And that soldier was proof. He did not give up, not because he thought he would win, but because he knew, surrendering to despair is surrendering to oneself. When there is nothing left to cling to, the Stoic still has his ideal. And that ideal keeps him upright, even when the world forces him to his knees. No one escapes pain, loss, or fear. But what makes a man is how he walks through them without losing himself. Like a small flame that is not extinguished by the storm, the soldier holds on to his spirit as his last treasure. Not to win, but to be worthy of himself. And what about you? When nothing is certain, do you still keep your courage? We can learn a lot from these soldiers about how to face challenges and stay strong. Remember, true strength comes from within. Don't forget to subscribe to continue your journey to find inner peace.